How's it going, everybody? Jordan here, and in today's video I'm going to go over my top 5 tips for new players. Let's get right into it. The first tip I give new players is always check the message board for passive contracts. Now, what does that mean? So there's these message boards in all the cities that let you check if there are contracts available. Now, you'll notice that each contract has a different symbol on the right. There's some with a little time symbol and then some without it. The ones without it can be finished whenever you want, and they're typically things like kill 30 Spartan soldiers or kill 10 pirate ships or things like that. So if you're constantly acquiring these passive contracts, just by naturally playing the game, you're going to complete them and get more experience, level up, and get money, and it's just going to be generally better because what'll happen is you'll clear out one Spartan fort and then go check the bounty board, and you'll see that there was a passive one available that told you to kill 30 Spartan soldiers, which is fine if you need to go back, but just pick them up naturally as you go. Tip number 2, pillage castle walls to get materials and gear, and then bonus dismantle them for more materials. Now, what do I mean? Cities early in the game like Megaris and Athens are surrounded by large castle walls, and if you run along these castle walls, you're going to see these posts where that you can loot that have gear in them. They're typically found in forts too, but if you just keep running around a loop on these walls, especially Athens, which is pretty large, but very early if you don't have access to Athens. The one in Megaris is a little smaller, you don't get as much, but Athens in particular, you can gather a bunch of gear and materials for your boats and upgrading your gear, and you can also dismantle all the gear you get, and dismantling gear gives you materials back. If you do this, you'll have more than enough materials to be able to get you through the early part of the game, because by the time you reach mid to late game, materials almost mean nothing after that. And so you do this just a couple times and you'll be set and ready to go. Tip number 3, upgrade your gear every 10 levels. Now, it might be tempting at first to just constantly upgrade your gear, and I feel like I do that pretty much between level 1 to 10, but after level 10, what ends up happening is your gear perks have an additional percentage bonus every 10 levels, and the way they work is as so. 1 to 10 has the first level, 11 to 20 has the next level, 21 to 30, and so on, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, 51 to 60, 61 to 70, adding up to 7 different perk levels. Now, these perks are the perks you see on your gear, and those bonuses come at each one of those levels. So a level 14 piece of gear is pretty much as powerful as a level 11 piece of gear, but a level 21 piece of gear is significantly more powerful than a level 20 piece of gear. So my advice to you is to save your materials to upgrade your boat and all that kind of stuff, but then save your gear upgrades to levels 11, 21, 31, 41, 51, etc. And that should make sure that you're up to date and willing to fight at any level. Tip number 4, elemental damage stacks on top of your regular melee damage and hunter damage. So if you have a fire bow, or you have fire active or poison active, or poison on your bow or fire on your sword, that fire damage in those perks on those pieces of gear or in the abilities stacks on top of your regular damage. And I feel like a lot of new players don't really notice this or are familiar with the fact that this is the way it works. And so if you have 80% of fire damage, that doesn't mean fire, when someone's on fire they get 80% more damage. That means if your sword's on fire and you hit them, on top of your melee damage, you're adding 80% more damage on top of that. And so fire and poison are very powerful elemental pieces that once you have the ability to use them, or you have access to those abilities to be able to use them immediately and find perks that increase that fire or poison damage, and you'll see a large difference in your ability to hurt and kill enemies quickly. tip number 5, it's a little subtle. You might not know what I'm talking about, but I just feel like I need to share this. Try your best to do the Ainigmata Ostrakas when you get them. What in the world are those? They don't really go into it in the game very much, but there's these tablets throughout the world that you run. You're going to collect them. They have riddles on them, and the riddles lead to an engraving that you can eventually put on your gear. And a lot of the engravings are pretty nice engravings, but the riddles are local to the area in which you find them. And what I did in my first playthrough, and I'll show you here, is I loaded up all of these, and I never searched for them. I just collected them. I didn't know what they were or what they did. And by the time I got to the end of the game, I wanted perks, but I couldn't find them. And the riddles didn't make sense because I didn't know where I picked them up from. So I had to go and Google them, and you can Google them. And I think there's a couple, there's not very many, but there's not too much reliable sources telling you where to find these at. But if you do them as you acquire them, it will be a significantly less pain in the butt. And what's nice is they are very regionally located to where you're at. Like, for example, at the risk of spoiling it, the first one you get at Marcus's Vineyard, the first perk that you can get is really close, within a short distance away from where Marcus's Vineyard is. So when you get those, just complete them immediately. That's my advice to you. It came from me just stacking up a bunch and going, oh my gosh, how do I go find all these now that I kind of finished the map? So that's my advice to new players. Again, if you have any questions, please leave a comment. I'm going to reply to them. If you have more questions or want to join a community where we all kind of talk about this game and have fun together, go ahead and click the link in our description and join our Discord and get involved that way. And then if you really enjoyed this video or you found it was helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you left a like and you subscribed, and then you did all the stuff that all the YouTubers tell you to. That would be really helpful. So thanks again, and I hope you have a good day.